Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 Wii review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Goldeneye 007, which, well, what the hell can I say about this? It's an FPS if you've never played it before, but if you're anticipating Goldeneye, like the adverts are saying, relive the classic N64 game on your Wii, then you're going to be incredibly disappointed and you've got a quick choice to make as to what you actually want out of the game. Because this isn't Goldeneye, it really isn't. There's not a pretty much shred of the N64 game left from what they've done to it, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad game. So I'll cut into the usual to explain game modes and that before going into the game, show you and explain exactly why it's not the N64 game. I suppose the first thing I should start with is it's got Zapper support. I'm only mentioning that because even though I put it in the description of Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reflex, it's still probably the question I get asked the most because no one likes to read the description. So it's got Zapper support. It's also pretty much got everything support. You can play with a Classic Controller Pro, the Wiimote and Nunchuck, a GameCube pad, which you can even switch rumble on. They've pretty much done what I've been asking for on Wii games for a long time now. Full control support so we can play how we want to play. I don't understand why a few devs actually do this, and I'm glad that they've done it for this. So anyway, as you might have noticed, the menu pretty much as the usual: new game, continue game, select profile, mission select. You've then got multiplayer, options and extras. So extras is pretty much the usual. Multiplayer is so not like GoldenEye, it's unbelievable, and I will try to show some off, but it might have to be just split screen, because if I can't get a game then I can't show it off, obviously, because it does have online, but it's also got split screen. Options wise, you've got, as I see it, all the control settings in the world pretty much. You've got your screen settings, your sound settings, and just things like that. So let's go on to the game then. So I've went onto the facility because that's probably the best level to show the drastic differences, because anyone who's anyone should surely remember the facility level from the original. The whole point was you started in an air duct, vent, whatever, sitting above a guy on the toilet, and you could throw a mine on him or just kill him or things like that, and it was one of those infamous moments that everyone loved. Well, you're still pretty much starting an air duct, but you've got to work your way to them, and the game just gets even more and more drastically different. The levels are just huge compared to the original, they're totally different, and this is where the game gets hard to review and hard to do without upsetting people and without controversy, because I really do love this game. I think it's one of the best FPSs to come out in a while, especially on the Wii, a system which, as everyone knows, I don't particularly like that much because it doesn't have that many great games, and I think this is one of those titles that is desperately needed for the Wii, and if you own it, to get it. But it's not GoldenEye, and this is where people will get upset, because moments like this here feel like they're pretty much taken straight from Modern Warfare. They really do. The whole game just isn't a Bond game, really. It's more like a Modern Warfare game where you play as Bond, and then they've tried to make it more Bond-like by having official music, by having, for example, the theme song originally sung by Tina Turner, now by Nicole Scherzinger, or however you pronounce it. I apologise if I've done it wrong. You've got Daniel Craig, who is the newest Bond and probably the most underrated Bond, as Bond here. You've got Dame Judi Dench, who is one of the greatest actresses to come out of this country, or at least I think so, as M, and they just do things like that to try and make it feel like Bond, but gameplay wise it just isn't at all, and this is where again people will get controversy and will either love it or hate it. Because it's one of those, people will be buying it thinking it's the N64 Classic. Probably because it's kind of being advertised as the N64 Classic. I've seen a lot of adverts saying, relive the classic game on your Wii, and it just isn't. If anything, this is more of a Modern Warfare title. For example, you've still got the objectives that vary depending on the difficulty level, that's been kept. However, instead of having one energy bar to last you throughout the level and you can get body armor, and if you died at the end of the level you started all over again, you've got the standard FPS Modern Warfare style system. You can get shot to crap like I'm attempting to do now, and then just go run and hide for a few seconds and you'll heal. You can die at the end of the mission and just go back to your nearest checkpoint, because there's checkpoints all over the levels. It's just one of those things. As I see it, it depends on what you're after when you get the game. If you are only after the N64 Classic, you'll be incredibly disappointed. You'll think you've wasted your money, and hell, you might be sitting here watching this now thinking, I'm so glad he said that, I won't buy it anymore. However, if you're after a very, very good FPS, because I truly do think this is a great FPS, especially on a system that I don't really rave about that much, as everyone knows. I'm just not the Wii's biggest fan, yet I love this to death, and I think it's one of the best games I've ever looked out into. So if you're after a great game for the Wii, then it's one of those. Definitely go out and get it. Just as I say, it really does depend on what you yourself are after from the game, really. Because graphically the game looks really good. I think it's probably the best looking first person shooter on the Wii. Obviously you've got things like Metroid and that, and everyone knows that I already slagged off Modern Warfare's graphics for being very fuzzy, and this thankfully isn't fuzzy or anything. It's one of the things that really did annoy me with Modern Warfare, all the black dots of fuzz and that. It just doesn't happen on this. Musically the game sounds great as well. So it's just gameplay that's going to have people, well, either, as I say, slagging it off or raving about it. But saying as I keep mentioning how it's pretty much Modern Warfare gameplay wise, I should probably mention the fact that it does still have different objectives, as I say, depending on difficulty level, etc, etc. So you are doing things like taking pictures of plane schematics on your smartphone, or destroying plans and things like that. So it's not just your bog standard generic run and gun, no thought required shooter like Halo, for example. It does actually have a lot of depth to it, and it's also thankfully incredibly hard, especially on the 007 difficulty, so it's got the challenge, which is also important. So this is the multiplayer, and I'm going to try and get a game, but there are things that I need to mention about the options as well. As I say, it is pretty much Modern Warfare, so you've got custom loadouts, and depending on what level you are, depends on what you get. So you get XP from being good, and you unlock things. And I've barely played the multiplayer, of course, how can I have? I've pretty much got it and went through the single player. So I haven't got anything really unlocked. I've just got the standard stuff for the multiplayer, but thankfully you can still see the type of thing that you can get and what level you unlock them at. So you can choose a primary weapon, which is things like shotguns, machine guns, sniper rifles. You can choose your secondary weapon, which are pistols and things. You can choose gadgets, which are things like mines and that, or you can actually get perks, just like in Medal of Honor, so you can get heavy hitter and things like that. You can choose attachments, so you can put silencers on and laser pointers and grenade launchers and just things like that. As I see it, the game is 100% multiplayer wise Modern Warfare. There's nothing else can be said about it, because it is just like Modern Warfare. You can view your, choose whether to have region on or off, so basically playing with people in your own country or playing with people over the world. You can go to party invites and that. It's got an actual decent menu hub for a Wii game, because usually you pretty much don't have these options. So I'm just going to try and find a game now and, well, talk about it and show it off. So thankfully managed to find a game straight away. Obviously you can choose your loadout from normal things like assault and that, so you don't have to do custom if you want to, and I don't believe it, this is typical. Well, while I'm attempting to find a new game host, as I said, it really is typical that I finally find a game and then this happens. I might as well at least mention the modes and things that you can play on. So you've got things like conflict and team conflict, which are just usual death matches really. Things like specialist modes like the black box, where one team has to destroy the black box, the other one has to protect it. There's also some multiplayer game modifiers you can put in for split screen and that, where you can, well, put on like sticky grenades if you want to, or you can put on oh, I might as well shut up and choose a new game to look for, because that's failed miserably. Anyway, as I say, you can put on sticky grenades or bouncy grenades. You can put on small mode, where you're all small and you can't vault over things. You can just put like radar on or off. You can just choose all sorts of things. The multiplayer, for what it's worth, when you can't find a game, is absolutely fantastic because of the options of customization and that. It's just the problem of actually finding the game. So I will try again, because I've pretty much said everything there is to say about the game, so what follows next will hopefully just be footage of online gameplay really, with no talking. So there we go then, that's been the review. I hope you've enjoyed it, or at least found it helpful. You might have noticed I didn't score the game. Well, that's because it's a matter of personal opinion, and yours may very well differ from my own. I'm just here to show you a bit about the game. If you like it or not, well, that's up to you. If you don't like it, or you do like it, feel free to comment. Also, if I haven't answered any of your questions that you may have had, I might have forgot something, or it might just be something obscure. Again, feel free to comment, ask, always willing to help out. Otherwise, if you don't like commenting on YouTube, head over to www.vc-forums.com, where you can chat with me and a bunch of other lads who love the VC, the WiiWare, and hell, even a lot of other systems. We cater to pretty much everything. You can just go there, have a chat about a game, ask about some games, etc. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.